What it is, y'all, it is your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with more Grand War. We need to blaze through these in short order. So I'm going to try to get as many of these out today and tomorrow as I possibly can. We've got 4 more, so stay tuned. I think this is going to happen in really rapid fashion. But 1-8 is another one of those that asks for a water team. And because I know you guys are probably sick to death of seeing that crazy Maximum Broken water team, I put together this water team. Now, I'm going to kind of discuss the mechanics of this team, why I like this team. I'm still using a couple of Maximum Broken units, but I'll kind of explain why, how, and, what you can do with a team similar to this if you don't have a crazy, super Maximum Broken team that will just kind of get you through this, because this one's a little harder. Now, we have a double ailment system here, okay? This opponent will stun you and will poison. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to basically use healing to get rid of the poison, and then we're going to use stun anklets to get rid of the stunning. Now, alternately, you can use units that have ailment resistances, but I kind of personally find that poison anklets are kind of a waste, because if you're stunned, there's nothing you can really do about that. But with poison, you can just heal your way out of poison pretty effectively. And so we're going to be relying on this Haruhime right here, the new Wind Haruhime, to kind of make sure that we are, continuing to do that. Because remember, when Haruhime heals, or when Haruhime counters, she heals. Now, alternatively, you could put the Winter Haruhime. She just recently got a rerun. You could put her on your team, and she'd be just as effective. But for me, I kind of wanted to run a level 60. And so that's going to be my big challenge, is to have the level 60 Filvis survive this match. So let's go ahead and jump in here. Okay, so right out of the gate, I am using Wealth, but I'm only using Wealth for his single target attack advantage. Once we get that 25% single target attack, he's gone turn 1, and we'll bring Winter Haruhime in. Everybody else is going to do their turn 1, and that's just basically going to be their buff stack. Okay, now you want to pay really close attention on this fight, because this opponent will remove buffs and will buff himself. So this opponent can get hairy. But if you follow my lead here, I think you'll be just fine, especially with Winter Haruhime. Now, Winter Haruhime is going to do her skill 1. For me, I'm going to let her leave after this. And I know that her skill 1 defensive buff would be phenomenal to have late game, but I think I only need it through the first essay. I believe I only need it through the first essay. And I'll kind of show that to you today. But I'm going to go ahead and try to do her defensive buff here, and then she's going to leave turn 2. Now, if you're having survivability problems, you can keep her on the team. She's absolutely really phenomenal. And since she's a water unit, she'll actually perform pretty respectably against this foe. Now, this foe is a giant, and I don't know if there's any water giant killers, to be honest with you. I really don't know. I guess I could look at that, but I have yet to run across one, honestly, that I've tested thus far. So for me, this is the team I'm going to use. More I'm thinking about, I think there are a couple from last year, but I'm going to stick with just some units from all across the board. I'm going to stick with the team that I've got and kind of soldier on. Okay, so she's going to do her defensive buff. Everybody else is going to move on to skill 2, continues their buff and debuff stack. And then turn 3, we're going to bring in the Wind Haruhime. Now, as I said before, that Water Haruhime, the one that recently got a rerun, she also has counter healing. So if you are really finding yourself in a bind, you're not getting enough healing, you're not getting enough of what you need to survive this, then definitely do consider running that second Haruhime, even if it's the OG Haruhime or anybody that does, counter healing, that'll help you out massively. If you have RD from the 3rd anniversary, she's also really good, and she's a water unit. So there's lots of different things you can do. But for me personally, I haven't found that yet in my test runs of this. I have actually found that this Haruhime is plenty for me, but, that's me. Everybody's going to be a little bit different when it comes to these fights. And there's a level of RNG to these fights, since we are relying on counter healing. So, I don't want to say definitively it's going to work that way, but I feel pretty confident we can make this happen. So when this Haruhime comes in, we're going to go ahead and do Dawn Wind. Now, we have debuffs out here. The Strength of Magic down 40% is going to be disappearing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reapply that on this turn. I believe, yes. So Filvis actually does that, so I can reapply that on this turn, so it'll stay in place. Everyone else is going to do there's skill 3. Actually, I forgot that one of the main reasons that I'm using this unit is because this unit does replicate debuffs. So, yeah, if you have this Finn, this Finn's debuff replication will be stellar here and will help out big time. So actually, I won't need to rebuff that. I completely forgot about that skill. So Haruhime is going to do some buff replication on turn 4. Not on turn 3, on turn 4. So we should be good on this turn, and then basically, you know, turn 4 we can get back to it. And if you will notice, we have the counter rate and magic resistance on Filvis's turning is leaving. Now, we can buff that, but I don't really need to at the moment, to be totally honest with you. Plus, her counter rate isn't really going to be the end of the world. So I'm just going to kind of do her skill 3. Also, over here, everything's good there. And you will notice that the extra skill for both Belle and for Finn is going to run out on this turn, so we'll need to rebuff it next turn. But that's fine, actually. We're going to actually do it on turn 5, and I'll just kind of show you why. But everything's good here. You will notice that the physical resistance and magic resistance up is good for 2 turns. So we can wait until the next turn to get that replicated. We will be fine. So Dawn Wind on this turn. Everybody else is going to do skill 3. Hopefully that's making sense to you guys. Because this one is not going to be like the others. This is not going to be a cakewalk. This is going to get hairy, and it is definitely going to be interesting towards the end. Now, if you do not have stun resistance, basically by now you'll have known it. He will have stunned you and you will be hating life. But, you know, all we're doing right now is we're just basically surviving the poison. Like I said, poison we can heal through. Poison's not a big deal. Now, I really need to make sure that my units are as healthy as they can be, because at the end of this turn, we're going to get SA'd. So I'm going to go ahead and do Blowing Wind here, because Blowing Wind is going to give us a decent amount of... it's going to basically rebuff the debuffs one more time, so those will be in play. Now, as I said, with Finn here, Brave Blessing is running out. But if I do this, that is replicating his buff skill that we actually need next turn. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with turn 3 here. And since the buffs are getting worn out, there's really no point in me doing it here either. Now, I could, but his skill 3 already does 80%. Just kind of no point. And his counter rate up isn't going to be like end of the world stuff yet. So I'm going to kind of consider doing skill 3 with Belle here one more time. So everyone on this turn is doing skill 3. All right. I know I didn't mention Filvis, but that's because Filvis, like, you know, it's not a huge factor here. All right. So Haruhime's late game regen is going to help out massively here. And here comes the SA. We should survive this. Let's see. Ooh, we got some penetration there. That didn't feel good. But not too bad. However, you will notice that our buffs are gone, though magic resistance and physical resistance is still there. That is super duper important, so we need to replicate that. So I'm going to go ahead and do I'm going to do Blowing Wind, and I'm going to go ahead and buff I'm going to go ahead and buff I forgot his name now. Buff Finn. That's going to be really important to the amount of damage we're going to produce. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buff, we got the debuffs here, so I'm going to go ahead and buff Filvis, and I'm going to buff Belle, and that's going to help them get a little bit of damage out. Now, you will notice that I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this here, even though nobody has the 33% SAH charge or the AoE resistance, because, frankly, I think we need that strength and magic resistance replicated far more than we need that on this turn. It's just a creative decision that I've made, but I really want to keep that strength and magic resistance, because in my other matches, I let it wear out, and it wasn't the end of the world, to be completely honest and fair. Though we did get wiped out there. I want to say that was just RNG, though, so I'm going to give this one more chance. And I think a lot of that came down to being, having the penetration on the SA. So that is one thing to be aware of. Like, you know, these failures can happen, especially when you're dealing with RNG here. So I'm going to go through this one more time. Skill 1 for everybody. There we go. I'm not worried about Welf getting stunned. It's not that big of a deal. Haruhime is going to do skill 1, and then everyone's going to do skill 2. Okay. Once again, just building our buffs and debuffs. There is one thing I'm going to do differently on this turn. One big difference I'm going to make, and I'll kind of discuss that here. Just to kind of play a little bit more of a defensive role. And worry about the late game a little more than the early game damage. Because with my units here, the more I really contemplate what I was doing on that last turn, and what I did in the previous test runs, I think, honestly, truly, that having the Finn buff isn't going to be a major deal. So I'm actually going to kind of sacrifice a turn of Finn's damage to try to get a little bit more out of our units here. So it's going to be a weird one, but just follow me. Okay? So we should survive this. Fingers crossed. Once again, when you're dealing with level 60s, like with Philvis, you got to be a little bit patient. Notice she took a ton of damage there. So, once again, our physical and magic resistance has not worn out, so we need to replicate that. That is going to be super important. Now, I have let it run out, and I have survived it. But by all means, I do want to continue doing Finn's skill 3 here. Everybody else is going to kind of do their buff stack. Yep. That. And that. And I'm going to do Dawn Wind here to give everyone a little bit of AoE resistance as well. Basically, the main thing is I'm going to sacrifice Finn's damage on this turn. Rebuff him next turn. So that we can get the AoE resistance and get a little bit more SA gauge charge out to get a little bit faster quad SA. Because remember, our goal is always to build up to that quad SA. So we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to do skill 1 with Finn on this turn. Everybody else is going to back to skill 3. And we're good to go. Now, I am aware that that this Haruhime has that big buff skill. The buffs counter rate, penetration rate, and all that good stuff. I don't know that I'm ready to use that quite yet, because we are going to have, basically before we do our big SA, we're going to have everything wiped out again. So maybe we'll do that the turn before that, but I've got to see if we can build it into our stack. Because right now, with the meager amount of damage we're doing, I mean, notice like his health bar has not been injured at all. So I'm not really doing myself any favors by wasting a turn buffing all that. So instead, I'm really going to focus on keeping all the debuffs up and the defensive buffs up. So, notice the physical and magic resistance has fallen off Bell. So he did eventually remove that, as I said before. So, yeah. Even though we buffed it, it got wiped out. So what I did basically with Haruhime and Finn was null and void. So do note that. I wasn't aware of that. Just a little hiccup, but once again, I don't think it's going to have any major effects on the late game, because once again, we are just building up to that quad SA. Now, the quad SA is not going to be the end-all, be-all on this one. The quad SA is basically when our units come into their own. Haruhime, girl, thank you. Okay, so we're still taking poison damage, but it's a thing. All right. Turn 8, we're going to continue doing our skill 3s. Everybody's going to be golden here. All of our debuffs have been in play for quite a bit of time now, and our buffs are pretty good. We've still got our AoE resistance, which is really nice. So, let's continue on, okay? I'm just basically going to do skill 3 again with everybody. I think that's going to be just more than adequate and is going to represent more or less how we want to proceed into the final stage of this fight as we prepare for our quad SA. Now, you will notice we are 1 turn shy of our quad SA. There is a way around this. Basically, if I had put somebody on the front line where I put the Water Haruhime, if I had put somebody there that had 100% SA gauge charge as one of their skills, and then ran Water Haruhime in place of Filvis on this turn, I would have a quad SA. But running low-level units like this, it's honestly not going to matter too much. So I'm going to do everybody's skill 3 one more time, because at the end of this turn, we are going to get our buffs removed once again. So we just need to focus on having good health and healing and basically preparing for that moment. Because if you do quad SA on 9 and you don't wipe the opponent out, you're going to hate life. Because I've rushed that, and then I was just like, why did I do the thing? So preferably doing a quad SA on turn 10, where you're going to have all those buffs for several turns, is a major benefit. Now you will notice everything is gone. Literally everything is gone. Okay? Except poison. We were still poisoned, but we got 1 turn left on poison. So, Haruhime, 120% strength and magic. Bell, 100% water attack damage. And Filvis, interestingly enough, magic resist down 60%. Now, that really is only going to affect her and actually, I think Bell is still, no, he's physical. So it's not going to affect everybody that much, but it's going to help her get a little bit more damage out. What I really like here is Finn gets 30% per each target's strength and magic reduction skill. And if we go over here, strength and magic are down there. And I have strength and magic down on the assist side. So he's going to get a full 120% on his hit. Let's see what he does. Okay. Now, Haruhime, remember, is not a damage unit. She's just a buffer. Bell, 3.85. Nice. I love to see that. But to be fair, he is max limit broken. Now, Filvis doesn't really do a whole lot, but she's really kind of there for the debuff. It would be better if I had a physical debuffer, but, you know, it kind of is what it is. Also, man, what happened to... I thought Finn was going to do more than that. So, Bell really is going to be our DPS. Jeez, I don't want to use him as a DPS because he's really here for the buff. So I'm going to kind of, just to replicate what many of you guys are going to see, I'm going to continue attacking with Finn. So every time we get an SA now, I'm going to use Finn for that SA and just kind of, you know, move into the realm of what to do from here. So everybody has 100% strength, magic, 100% water damage. Let's proceed. Now, on this turn, I can actually do Night Storm with Haruhime. Actually, no, I'm going to do Dawn Wind because we need to keep the buffs in play. And if we don't, by next turn, we're going to hate that. So I will need to do Dawn Wind on this turn. And everybody else can basically do their skill 3. Now, remember, they're already buffed, so we don't need to do a buff stack anymore. All those buffs are basically going to keep them alive. Ooh, do not lose Finn, please. Haruhime! Girl. So, if Finn or Bell get attacked, we're going to lose them. So, in an effort to more accurately represent basically what you would see if you're going at this with a level 60 and like say a level 60 and a unit with like maybe only 2 limit breaks on them. I'm going to try to avoid using Bell at all possible. So if Bell gets wiped out here, it's not the end of the world. I'm really hoping Finn doesn't, but once again, it's 100% RNG. So we're going to go ahead and do Dawn Wind. We're going to go ahead and do skill 3 with everybody else. We need that Dawn Wind because that's going to give us some AoE resistance, going to give us some healing. So fingers crossed we get through this. Ooh, we got a counter heal on Finn, and that's absolutely perfect. I don't mind losing Bell. But, yeah, we're in a good place now. We're in a very good place. So that's perfect. So, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go ahead and do an SA with Finn and see what Finn's got here for us. And I'm going to go ahead and do this right here because I kind of feel like our debuffs are good for now. And our buffs are going to be replicated no matter what. So we'll go ahead and do skill 3 with everybody. And we're going to just basically attack with Bell. Okay? Let's see what Finn's got. Probably not a whole lot. Yeah, like I said, 500,000. So, Finn could be better, but once again, I'm going at this from the realm of, you know, what do you have? What do you have? What can you use? What can you legitimately see out of these units? And so this is going to take us a few turns. Now, admittedly, if I'm completely fair here, Finn is kind of a poor fit. The 120% doesn't seem to be doing what it should do. I don't know why it's not. He's definitely buffed. I expect more damage out of him if I'm completely frank. But I guess, you know, part of it too, notice that magic is down 115%. So honestly, magic would have been a better. I thought he was magic, but apparently he's physical. So being that magic is down, a magic unit here would be significantly better than the physical. And of course, you know, if I was going to kind of cheat and use Bell for his essay, we would wipe this out in like little time. You know, our opponent is going to fall quickly. Man, I really wish I'd put a magic unit on the backside here, but I don't know who I had that would have worked. But, you know, it would wipe it out. And this kind of goes to show you, like, you know, sitting in this circumstance, I really wish I'd put a magic unit on here, but if you don't have it, you know, we're just going to kind of struggle bust through it. I thought I'd had put enough physical resistance down, but apparently not. So that's just a deficiency in my build. But, you know, we'll probably have to rebuff Dawnwind. Yep, Dawnwind is one turn. Whenever you see Dawnwind down one turn, that means you have to rebuff everything. And I'll be honest here, let's build up to another triple and just see what happens. So in reality, I probably would have been a lot better off to put a magic unit here instead of Finn. That was poor, basically poor foresight on my part. But that's okay. We're to build up to another triple, and we're just going to kind of move on with that as our build. So, buffs are once again gone, so we do need to buff everything up here. Not, once again, the end of times, but just, you know, getting through that. So, I mean, really at this point, you can kind of see, like, we're wearing our opponent down. His resistances have been knocked out a bit. Obviously, if you could find somebody that does physical resistance down and you have physical units, use that. I really thought I had picked more magic units, but, you know, it is what it is. At the end of the day, your resistances make all the difference here. So I've got magic resistance down 60%, one unit resistance down 25%, water attribute resistance down 40%. If you can get that water attribute down a little bit more, that'd be great. The extra 20% of physical would be nice, but actually, in hindsight, I don't think it's making a huge difference. So, I guess my biggest regret is bringing that Finn, and I feel like there's somebody else that could have filled that void just a little bit better, you know. But it is what it is. We'll build up to another triple SA, and kind of go from there. And that basically is what's going to happen here. We're just basically going to keep, you know, struggling along and building this stack up, and you know, at this point, we kind of know what's going to happen. You know, nothing's really going to be a mystery. Just every 3 to 4 turns, we're going to buff Dawnwind. If we see our buffs run out, we're just going to rebuff those. Otherwise, we're going to do scale 3. And pretty much, we're going to have like a turn, 20-something kill. You know, it's not going to be glorious. It's not going to be amazing. Obviously, if you have the water team I've shown before, this would be an easy S clear. But I've shown that team off, and I really wanted to stretch and try something a little bit more. And once again, we probably could have gotten like a turn 18 kill if I had picked somebody who was magic to put in place of Finn. So, like, I don't know. The problem is anybody having that magic, the more I'm thinking about it, would be in the max limit broken. And so, it is what it is. I like to build these hodgepodge teams to show you guys how to survive this to get your rewards. So, I'm just going to kind of use this as like a worst case scenario. And it really is an absolute worst case scenario. So here we go. We've got a triple SA now. And our opponent is severely weakened. Now, I do feel like he's going to wipe out our buffs here shortly. So I think if I go one more turn, Ooh, we've run out of power with Finn. That's okay. Let's go one more turn, see if he wipes out the buffs. If not, then we'll just kind of do our triple and take care of him. That could have probably been a turn 20 kill. It is what it is. There is no turn limit, it seems, on this. I thought there was a 20 turn limit. Maybe that's just on Vesta. But now we'll go ahead and do our triple. And, oh, we got a quad. Yeah. So we'll do a quad. We'll do a quad, and I'm pretty sure Bell's going to wipe him out. But that's just, the nature of Bell. Remember, Bell gets 80% per, like, all the buffs and everything. So Bell's going to be pretty respectable. Boom. Ooh, we got 1.35 out of Finn. So that's very nice. That's the kind of damage I was expecting to see from him. Why was he not damaging like that? Anyway, now that we're finally seeing the numbers, because those were the numbers I saw in the test run, so I'm a little, unless he just wasn't getting, wasn't getting his criticals and whatnot, but it's very interesting either way. I'm going to go ahead and do this for the MP heal. That'll actually let Finn do a little bit more here shortly. And let's soldier on and finish this up. So turn 24 is what I'm going to be my prediction. I really thought we'd kill him on the quad SA, but apparently not. Here we go. I don't think we need to worry about debuffs at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and do this again for 10% more MP heal and let Finn do a little bit more damage. So turn 23. We've got an SA. We'll do that. Once again, I am well aware that it's probably not going to be the most effective thing, but we have less than 1 million damage to go. So let's see what Finn's going to do. Finn's going to take about half that. Ooh, nice. Finn, where were these numbers early game, my dude? So there we go. Turn 24 kill, as I predicted the third time. So you can do this. It's very easy. Just, be really mindful of your defenses. Be mindful of everything else. And there's the A clear. Now, obviously, if I use my other water team, that's going to be a simple S clear. That's going to be super easy. So number one, magic units if you've got them. But unfortunately, most of my magic units, the more I really ponder it, are maxed and broken. That's why I used physical. So magic units if you got them. Watch out for those stuns. Heal your way through poison, and you'll be good to go. For now, that's going to be the video. Like, comment, share, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.